civil engineering and construction group Stefanutti's full-year headline earnings per share slipped 20% to 153.29 cents as profits were reduced by delayed contracts, contract cancellations, lower margin projects and some loss-making contracts. I spoke to the company's CEO Willie Meyburgh and asked him whether he felt optimistic about the company's future.
We are quite satisfied that going forward we can see a slight improvement in the market, although not big. The opportunities, especially over the medium term, that from within South Africa and also outside South Africa, neighbouring countries, we believe there are opportunities medium to long term that will help the construction industry.
Well, do you suspect that more revenue is going to come through from operations outside of South Africa going forward?
Well, from our side, over the last number of years, about 25% of our turnover comes from outside South Africa and about 30% of our operating profit. We would like to actually build on that and to get our turnover to be in excess of 30%. And we believe we are well positioned, especially in the SADC countries where we have got permanent offices, to grow the business there.
How do margins compare South Africa relative to ex-South Africa operations? Are you finding higher margins within that space as well?
Yes, as I mentioned to you, the turnover is 25% from SA and 33% is operating profit. So the margins are better there, the risk is higher, but we are doing quite well outside South Africa, especially in the neighbouring countries.
Margins sitting single digits. When do you expect them to head back to double digit scenario? Do you think that that could actually happen going forward? And is it a reality for 2012?
Yeah, I think margins for double digits still are some time off, but
we can revert back to those levels at some point.
At some point, it's going to take some time, but certainly the work is around at least that it's gradually starting to increase.
Let's look at your structures business unit. That seems to remain the biggest contributor to earnings. Would you say that that is going to remain so going forward?
Yes, structures performed very well. They are the biggest contributor towards the operating profit, and going forward we see that it will be the same for at least the next couple of years. However, that the roads, earthworks and mining business unit is also picking up nicely.
It's picking up quite interesting. Roads and earthworks, we actually saw the margins coming under pressure there from 12.9% to 8.5%. Is competition heating up within this space? Yeah,
definitely competition, and also as a result of some projects that were cancelled and some projects that were delayed in the awards that had an effect on that performance.
We've actually started to see a stronger order book, 1.4 billion rand coming through on the roads and earthworks side of things. How much higher can this level get, and whatever you actually put in this order book, are you very confident of the security of that number?
It's a better order book than what we've had before in roads and earthworks. I would say on the road side, about a third of our turnover comes from the national roads, a third from provincial and a third from private. So, but we can definitely see there is an improvement in margins on the road side.
Are you concerned about the provincial spend and the government spend, given the fact that we're seeing quite a bit of drama playing out with SANRAL and also just looking at the various phases of the Gauteng tolling project? Is this also a concern for you? I mean, are you exposed to the sector at all?
We are in that sector. We're not that badly exposed, but we certainly believe there's good management within the SANRAL structure. It's one of the best run state-owned enterprises that we've worked with. And if the management doesn't change there and they still get funding, we believe that they will go forward and be a solid business.
Cycad Pipelines going to be effective from the 1st of March, essentially, and has already been acquired. What is your view in terms of how it's actually going to contribute to earnings? What kind of numbers can we expect going forward? And are you bedding this acquisition down already?
Yes, Cycad, traditionally they've been a very profit-making organisation. And they were one of the largest, if not the largest, pipeline company in South Africa. That's why we acquired them. Going forward, there are a number of projects on the horizon that we are focusing on, and we believe they'll give the necessary returns.
Let's touch on the Middle East.
Sure.
Do you think that we could see a significant turnaround there? Are things starting to stabilize?
What we see in the Middle East is that it's also starting to lift its head. I think Dubai will probably never be the place that it used to be in terms of the work it provided to contractors. But we are now established in Qatar. We believe that will give us opportunity, and we're also looking at some opportunities in other North African countries. So over time, we believe that will be good for our country.
It's interesting because you're very strong within the SADC region. You mentioned other North African countries. What kind of countries are you looking at?
Well, we're looking.
Are we looking at acquisitions there? You're looking at opening up new offices?
No, we're purely looking at expanding the business there and looking at some opportunities in areas in all rich countries.